Haha. Scary music. So, hi guys, this is Horror Studio One coming to you once again with the live stream. I know today it's not a Sunday, and you might be wondering why I'm doing my live stream today. I just felt like, um, almost gonna start school soon, and actually had my last day of summer classes today. So, felt like, wanted to talk to you guys and probably do a video that's live and read some scary stories. So, just wanted to do it. So, if you guys feel like I look really tired, it's because I am really tired. But I really feel like, because I was organizing some of my emails for my YouTube channel, and there was a lot of emails that you guys sent me that I promised I would read on my stream. And a lot of times during my Sunday live streams, because a lot of people call in, I am not able to get to those emails that you guys send me. So today I feel like I'm just going to read emails for you guys, subscriber true scary stories or viewer scary stories for you guys today. There will be no call-ins today. So if you guys have your own stories that you want to speak on my channel, come back on Sunday, which is 2 days from now, and you can join and share your stories with me. But for today, I'm just going to be reading some scary stories. Today's stream is going to be a little bit shorter than usual, but regardless, we do have some scary stories here for you guys. And yeah, let's get started. So I recently did a video on pool horror stories from the internet. And I actually got this story, I think it was before that video was released. It's by a viewer of mine, and I'm going to narrate it. It's from Zara. Thank you for reading this if you do. You may get many emails of people making up stories for attention. But please, believe me on this one. This happened a year ago when I was on vacation in Ghana, Africa. I was going to the pool for my cousin's birthday party. At the birthday party, there were lots of boys and a little bit of girls. So I already felt uncomfortable. Because of this, I just had to swim at the deep end alone, which I was able to handle. I was just doing some laps under the water until I felt something grab my feet. At first, I thought it was one of the boys, so I immediately rose up to fight. But to my surprise, there was no one there. The boys were on the other side, so I continued to swim. I had my eyes open, and I could have sworn I saw a dark figure. Very creepy. I got out of the pool and closed it for a day after that. Our food had arrived, and I was telling my cousin about it, which he thought I was crazy for. Later that evening, as we were leaving, I saw a worker and asked him about any tragedies at the pool. He said a few years ago, a woman had drowned there. Let's just say I won't be back there anytime soon. Check out this pool in Ghana on Google Images. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Have a safe summer. So this is more of turned out to be a ghost story. I was not expecting that. So it's like a pool horror / ghost story, I guess. Thank you for your email. And yeah, pool ghost story. This one is from Harleen. I'm not sure if you guys remember. She talked about a ghost story last time about demons and that on my live stream number 22. So the one that just came before this. And it was I found her stuff really interesting. And she sent me this email afterwards with another one of her crazy stories that I'm going to tell for you guys right here. So yeah. One sec. Before that, let's open up the chat and see. Because I always want to open the chat when I'm alone and not with anyone else, just in case my mic has a history of just fucking running out of batteries and completely just dying on me and me not knowing. So I'm just gonna open the chat and you guys can tell me if my mic has died or anything crazy has happened. So let's just look at the chat. Nope, the chat's just as it normally is. Yeah, just madness. Oh my god. People are telling me to do ASMR, dude. Yep, a lot of Harambe stuff. I like that, of course. Exactly what I expected. A lot of hearts. People are saying hi. Your mic is good. Yeah, sometimes it just dies on me, man. Okay, so today I said again there will be no viewer stories. I'm just gonna be reading emails I got from people. So yeah, I'm just gonna be doing that for you guys today, and today will be a shorter video. So this story is called Weird Creature at National Park. I was 20 years old when I left home when I was 16 and decided to explore the world and see what I can find. I had been in Texas and Louisiana mostly. I've been raised in Louisiana, but I decided to go back for a little bit. I went from Missouri to New York, California, anywhere in the United States I could have decided to finally go. I decided to go home. Well, until then, I had been staying in Oklahoma when I received a phone call from my mom saying she might be dying from cancer. But I came to find out later, she actually wasn't. She just wanted me home. While I was hitchhiking through Oklahoma and near the Chickasaw National Park in 2 days. And in 2 days, I haven't been able to catch a ride, even sticking my thumb out doing all that, and nobody stopped. So I said, oh well, and pitched a tent in the national park. I decided to explore some, and so I followed the paved road until I got to the camping area there. There was a fire pit off a little ways from the road, and it was a clear area. There were picnic tables, so I decided that's where I was going to camp that night. I decided to explore a little bit and followed a deer trail into the woods. As I was walking, I didn't look to my left, and on the ground there was a hawk laying there with no head as if they had been burned off. An eerie feeling came over me, but I just brushed it away as me being paranoid, since I already had some paranormal experiences, but never came across one where it involved animals. So I walked away and went back to the area. I sat there until it started getting dark, and I set my tent up. I left the tent flap open because it was a very cool afternoon, and finally night came and the street lamps that were along the paved road came on. The lights are actually good enough to where I could actually read a book at that time. I was reading Anne Rice, Queen of the Damned. I started getting sleepy soon. I reached up to zip up my tent flap and looked over at the streetlight that was directly in front of me. And directly in front of there, standing there, under the streetlight was a creature as tall as the streetlight. Well, maybe not as tall, but maybe a couple inches underneath the streetlight. Its hair was very, very long. It looked like a little hunched. I couldn't see any eyes because the hair seemed to be there in front of its face. It was all black, and as far as I could tell, from what little skin seemed to stick out was white as chalk. And what little bit of skin I could see was its hands, which clearly went past its knees. The hands were just hanging there. It seemed that they were all white. Its nails are black, very, very black, so dark it seemed to absorb the light and just stood there. And it seemed as if the air surrounding it was vibrating. There was a type of static, it seemed, in the air. Now, don't get me wrong, I was very startled and afraid. I didn't know what this was. And suddenly, underneath the hair, I could see the white start to show, and it was as if the creature was smiling at me. It stood there for a very long time. As I was looking at it, something came over me. Now, you may not believe me. You might say this story isn't true, but I know that it happened. I know that it happened to me. I grew angry. I grew very angry. I felt a rage inside me, and it grew, and I stared at the creature down. I got out of my tent, stood up. I looked straight at it and said, I'm not going to be afraid of you, and you have no power over me. It seemed to make the creature laugh, and all that did was make me even more angry. I stood my ground. I again told him, I am not afraid of you. You have no power over me. Still, he was staring at. I was staring at me, and I was staring at him for what seemed like the longest time, while white-hot rage inside me all came out. All of a sudden, I heard a loud snap behind me. I turned around quick to find out that there was nothing there. And then a thought suddenly occurred that the thing's behind me now, so I turned around quick again and looked towards the streetlight, and it was no longer there. I bundled up in my sleeping bag after it disappeared. I fell asleep. The next morning, I packed up my stuff and looked towards the streetlight where the thing had been standing, and there was blood on the street lamp post. I no longer had that anger that I felt. I was once again afraid, so I gathered up all my stuff and got out of there as quick as I could. I headed to the highway, stick out my thumb, and thankfully somebody picked me up. I never been back to Chickasaw Park since, but I never will forget that night. I will heed a word of warnings to be careful where you camp. You never know what you might come across. You might not believe what I've written, but it did happen and it happened to me. Thank you for taking the time to read this. And if anybody knows what this creature may have been, your comments are very welcome. I'll see if I can write you more stuff about the paranormal experiences I've had. Thank you. All right, thank you, Harleen. Just a word, guys. Try to proofread your emails before writing sending them to me. But thank you, Harleen. It was a very interesting story. But guys, proofread your emails, man. Please do that for me. Thank you so much. All right, gotta get some tea first. All right, so now let's go to a ghost story. Before that, let's look at the chat. If you guys aren't subscribed to me, subscribe to me. Thanks. People were like, YouTube censorship. Yeah, I've been hearing about that, dude. It's crazy. I know what to say. I don't know what to say. No comment. Thank you. High school scary stories. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, let's get to our next ghost story. Gettysburg Ghost. True scary story. Hi. Here is a true scary story that you can narrate if you'd like. This happened in 2014 when I was 12 years old. It's admittedly not incredibly scary, nor is there much to it, but it's still a very bizarre incident that I've never been able to make sense of. My family and I don't live very far from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, only about an hour or so away, and I've often made day trips there. On Steenwehr Avenue in the downtown area, there is a small restaurant that we've made a tradition of eating at when we go there. We had come to Gettysburg with some friends on this particular day, and all of us were on our way to this restaurant. I was trailing behind the main group. I can't remember why. Maybe something had caught my attention. Anyways, I was standing on the sidewalk outside of the restaurant. Suddenly, two men brushed past me. One of the weird things about them was how they were dressed. It's not uncommon to see reenactors in Gettysburg, of course, but these guys look like aristocrats from Dickinson's novel, not like they came off a battlefield. They were wearing black suits and cabalets and top hats. I don't know. I know that's how male civilians might have dressed in the 1860s, but even so, I thought it was unusual that they were wearing that type of clothing as opposed to some sort of soldier's uniform. It's just not the popular reenacting look for men in Gettysburg. I should also know that it was a warm summer day, so capulets weren't exactly proper attire. That's a type of accessory that would have been worn on a cold evening. The most unsettling thing about these two gentlemen, and I use that term lightly, was how they reacted to me. As they brushed past, I heard one of them mutter, "Riff raff." It all happened so quickly that I had no time to react, and I could only stare in stunned surprise as they continued on their way. I have no idea why that man would say what he did. I didn't do anything to provoke them. I was just a child minding my own business. This incident is something that was continued to baffle me over the years because it was just so bizarre and unexpected. There seemed to be only two possible explanations: that they were jerks who took their reenacting way too seriously, or they were ghosts who weren't used to seeing a girl wearing a t-shirt and shorts. I know the latter theory is the more outlandish of the two, but at least that would actually give them a good excuse for their behavior. Seriously, what kind of reenactor would be so blatantly rude to say to someone out in the public, especially a child, no matter how into their role they are? My family and friends were far enough ahead that they didn't notice them, and I kept the incident to myself for years afterwards. I guess even I had trouble believing it entirely, even in a place like Gettysburg. Who would think that two Victorian gentlemen would just come strolling down the sidewalk and call you riffraff for no apparent reason? It was one of the oddest things that's ever happened to me. You know, interesting story. I actually have a story of my own. When I was a kid, and it's very similar to this story. In Canada, we have like a province in Canada called Quebec, and it's like a city, a state, and they speak predominantly French. So ever since I was young, I would go there with my family or with friends or on school field trips and stuff like that, and we made a lot of trips there. There's one time I went there with my family friends, and it was in the middle of the night. Went to this like really great hotel. We had to take like an 8-hour bus ride from Toronto to get to Quebec. We did a lot of sightseeing, a lot of shopping and stuff like that. And we got to the hotel. We took the photos. I actually went up to my room, got my room, and I was, relaxing. And I decided, hey, maybe go check out the hotel, since the hotel was really beautiful and it had all these like bright lights and all that kind of stuff, and a big, like a big like area in the middle where you can go, and there was like a big staircase and piano, and there was like a fountain outside. It was a really great hotel, and I was there, and I took a shower, I did all this stuff, and I was just gonna go down and buy some snacks or something. So I took the elevator down to the lobby of the hotel, and I was walking around, and I swear to God, I saw this dude dressed in like total like really weird clothing. He was dressed like in like all black, and he had like a black cap on, and he had like a beard and stuff. And no, and he wasn't like a Jewish gentleman. He didn't look like that. He just looked like something that was not from this era. And he kind of just sat there on the couch, and he smiled at me. And I was like, oh, hey, what? Like, I smiled back, right? And I walked off and did my thing. But I just kept on thinking about that after a while. And I tried to go back to find this guy, and he had completely disappeared. There was nothing going on in the hotel. Like, this wasn't Vegas. There was no shows, no costume party, no nothing. But I never saw that man again. And I feel like the reason I always think about this experience now is I felt like when I went out of the elevator and I saw this man and he saw me, it felt like his expression on his face as he looked at me was like he was expecting me to see him, or he was expecting me, kind of thing. Um, and that was the only time I saw something like that. And I actually made a video on my channel called "The Time I Met an Angel," and I thought maybe he was like an angel or something, because he felt really like nice and all that, but it felt like he was like he expected me to see him or to meet me there, like he knew I was coming, and he was only there to see me, kind of thing. I don't know if that sounds arrogant or just sounds fucking weird or just me being paranoid, but I don't know. It wasn't a scary feeling at all, though. Like, it wasn't a supernatural paranormal event. It was brightly lit. It was a really beautiful hotel. It probably had a lot of history. The lights were awesome. And but in that realm, in that moment, there was only me and him. There was no other people around. And after I saw him, I just turned the corner and I maybe turned back in like 10 seconds, and he was gone, and I never saw him again. But I don't know. I just keep thinking about this incident. Could this be a similar to thing to like a guardian angel or an angel encounter or something like that? Um, yeah, I don't know. But still, enough of me. It just reminded me of that story. Give me 1 second. We are going to. I'm looking at the chat right now. My goodness, what is this? It's nothing. All the comments have nothing to do with live stream. With my live stream, it's crazy. I forget what the name of the hotel was, man. It was so long. It's a couple years ago. So, and then you guys are asking me questions. Give me 1 sec. I'll probably do a Q&A after, but in the moment, let's do. Wow, you guys are sending me stories, which is smart. Okay, so let's do another ghost story. Strange ghostly experience story. Hey there. I love your channel, and I thought I'd send you this story since I've always wanted to tell someone this. I've only told my family, so this is the first time I've told anyone on the internet. As I'm sure you can understand, I don't want to be ridiculed for this since it's quite an out there story. I have faith you'll do it justice. There isn't any other horror YouTuber I feel comfortable telling this. Wow. Well, here goes. I am a 19-year-old female from the northeast of England. I live in a small town surrounded by farms and woods. I live in a semi detached house on the outskirts of the town. Our house is relatively old, built in the 1940s and 50s. Even as a young girl, I noticed how our house had always had a creepy vibe. Strange things started happening a year or so after we moved in. Not long after that, I started having night terrors, but they progressively got worse until I had them every night. This went on for 3 years. My parents said I would scream and point at the corner and say there was a monster. Unfortunately, I have no memories from that time in my life. So most of this was witnessed by my parents and my twin brother. Funny thing is, I purchased a small gargoyle statue after my hospital visit, just on the impression that it was pretty, and the night terrors suddenly stopped and went away. At the time, I was completely unaware that gargoyles were used to ward off bad and evil spirits. I never had an experience after that, until years later when the activity would flare back up and start getting physical. Fast forward 7 years, it was a ridiculously hot summer day. I live in England, so it was pretty unusual to have such nice weather. I wasn't the best at coping with the heat, so I had taken to laying on my bed with both of my windows open, just trying to stay cool. All of my family was out getting fast food. I opted to stay behind. I would later regret my decision. I was laying down for maybe 10 minutes facing the wall on my phone before I felt someone get into bed with me and start slowly wrapping their arms around me. I thought it was just my blanket, so I adjusted it, bearing in mind I'm laying on top of my bed covers, so there was no fabric even touching me. I thought it was pretty weird, but I relaxed again. And not even 2 minutes later, I felt it again, but it was more forceful this time. I physically felt fingers just touch just above my stomach as whatever or whoever it was wrapped their arm completely around me, pressing their body against mine. I looked behind me and there was literally nobody there. I could still feel the arm around me and the fingers stroking me gently. I freaked out and ran out of my bedroom as quick as I could. I stayed in the kitchen with my dog until my parents returned. I told them what happened. They were quite shocked but not surprised. They just laughed it off, saying I had a ghostly admirer. But I still slept with the light on that night. I haven't had the same experience since, and I hope I never have it again. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Thank you for writing. There isn't. Okay, guys, there's fucking nothing in my closet, okay? There's nothing in there. I'll take you guys over. Fuck it. Because you guys are freaking me out, man. There's nothing. Okay? It's fucking closed, man. Jesus. It's like I'm doing a room tour right now, man. There's nothing, man. It's just the lighting, dude. If I turn on the lights, you guys would see there was nothing there, okay? I don't know, I got scared for a moment. Because in this angle, it does look like there was like somebody there. No, there's nobody there, man. Fuck. It was scaring me like that, man. I'll be honest. Yeah, it looks like it. I know. It looks like it. No, it's not. There's so many people. I just see there's so many people in the comments saying that, man. It's scaring me too, dude. Maybe I'll just turn the light on. See? Oh, but it makes my face really dark. See, there's nothing. There's nothing, okay? I'll be honest, man. I get scared. I get scared of that. Like I read stories, but I personally get scared of the stories too, man. All right? All right, so another subscriber sent me um these couple stories. They said they wanted me to narrate. It's like a news story around that happened in their town. And it's pretty funny or just weird. And I'll read that for them and for you guys. Breaking. Severed human foot found in park in Bath. Warning. Graphic images. A severed human foot has been found in a park in Bath this morning. Simon Clark was out walking his 6-year-old Cocker Spaniel with his partner Nikki Jeffries at around 8 a.m. when they came across a woman whose dog had spotted the foot lying by a bush at the southern corner of Weston Park East. The freelance journalist told the Bath Chronicle, "It was just like CSI. There were a few of us out walking our dogs, and then a lady came running over to find us and said, 'There's a foot in the hedge.'" He added, "Her dog was sniffing at it. Then she realized what it was. We all had a look at it, and it was indeed a foot. It was lying on the grass, severed about 4 inches above the ankle. It looked like quite an old foot, and might have had been unearthed. It almost certainly a human foot, and looked as real as opposed to a fake foot that someone put there. Obviously, it's quite frosty, so it was covered in frost." The 52-year-old part-time Ba Spa University lecturer who lives in Weston Village added, "It's not as dramatic as it is on the telly. There's certainly sense there's certain sense that something may have happened, but it's quite surprising how much of a lack of drama there is. It's interesting rather than horrific. Even everyone thought it was clearly a severed foot. Police are on the scene, and the area has been cordoned off." A police spokesman said officers were called shortly after 8 a.m. on Friday, February 19th, to reports that a member of the public had found a suspicious item in Weston Park. "We are making inquiries into the report and will issue an update in due course," he said. "Members of the crime scene investigation squad will visit the scene," he added. So yeah, hardcore finding a foot in the woods. And this person also said they're a paranormal investigator too, and they have some scary stories. And they sent me a story about their own experiences, which I will narrate for you guys. People are like, "You have an awesome reading voice." Thank you. Thank you so much. Basic outlines. I investigated an old mental hospital, and we had a sensor trip by the main door. All out teams are 3 floors up doing a ghost box, and the alarm goes off. Everyone runs downstairs. I go into the main way with most of my team, whereas my boyfriend follows the guy who knows the place and gets super lost. And as the guy is running in front of him, my boyfriend hears giggling from behind him as a shadow walks past. Creepy. Scared in Abergavenny, Wales. So this is another experience. We are in the main pub at about 3:30 in the morning conducting a seance, and it goes really cold, and then a scream comes from the bathroom 10 feet away, and everyone freaks out. The scream then comes closer and closer until it's right behind my mother, who then proceeds to nearly faint. Falstaff experience, Stratford upon Avon. We are up in the attic conducting a seance where there is meant to be a creepy rapist spirit who tends to follow people home. We are all around one end of the table, and the table that no one is sitting at, but connected shakes and slaves into the out table. They are both heavy-duty oak and slams into my stomach. Creaky cauldron, Stratford upon Avon. Standing at the top of these stairs, I get these horrid stomach pains, which makes me fall down in pain and unable to move. I get taken downstairs and sleep until the end of the investigation. Wake up at the end where the owner gives us the history of the property. We always hear it at the end to ensure genuine readings from our mediums and not to taint evidence. And it turns out a woman became pregnant when it was a pub and was single, and the father didn't want to be found out to be cheating on his wife. So he pushed her down those stairs to induce a successful miscarriage. That creeped me out. Stranger still, as me and my mother are driving home, the stomach pains are getting worse and worse, and we don't know why. So we call up our leader, and he freaks out as we have forgotten to speak the closing prayer, asking all that was in the property to let us go alone and in peace. So we do one over the phone, and the stomach pain is instantly gone. Weird. Another time, we used to go to the Wells Cathedral School. Look it up. It's like a 1,100-year-old building, and I used to board in dorms in the week. Wasn't a night that went by where we didn't hear scratching from the closets, pots and pans banging in the kitchen, and people running up and down the stairs. We had a night maid who watched out for us and stayed up in case of emergencies to keep an eye on the troublemakers. She always used to run around and check, and there was never anybody there, as she could see the stairs from her office. My boyfriend from the first experience and now fiance went to a really old private school too, and had loads of experiences in and out of the school to this day. We are both 20 years old. We'll try to convince them to tell me in detail, and we'll try to send it in. Please do. Thank you, Ellen. Okay, so I guess that's it for today, maybe? Because I'm pretty sure that I just wanted to read a few today. Um, and yeah, if maybe we'll do a Q&A. The room got darker, of course, because we're losing light, dude. I never knew you were Chinese. Well, now you know. So if you guys have your own scary stories, send me an email at horrorstudio1@gmail.com, and I'll hopefully be able to narrate those stories for you in the upcoming future. If you guys have questions for me you would like answered, send them to me now, and I will try to answer them. Do a quick Q&A before ending the stream. Sorry that today's stream will be kind of fast, but the one on this Sunday at around the same time will be way longer, and you guys will get to come in and tell your stories if you have your own stories. Okay, but if you guys have any questions you want to be answered for me, if you're not coming Sunday, you can ask me right now, and I'll try to answer them for you. So I thought you were Japanese. I'm not Japanese. Okay. What type of music do you listen to? Well, now these days I listen to a lot of creepy ass music, like if you can hear it, the one that's playing in the background, because I do a lot of videos, and I need this kind of music. How old are you? I'm 23 years old. Would you ever read a horror short story from a book? Yeah, I actually thought about doing that. There's there's a bunch of stories that I want to read. The Pit and the Pendulum. Uh, just a lot of stories that I would really want to read. Classic stories, classic horror stories I want to read, but just haven't really gone down to that. Maybe next time I'll just take one of the books and read them live. Maybe that'd be pretty cool. Would you consider playing a Ouija board on a live stream? People have suggested me to do that. They said that I want you to do that for your 100K video. And honestly, I don't really want to play with a Ouija board. I'll be honest, man. I'm fucking scared, man. I always tell people not to do it. From the stories I've heard on this stream, is to don't do stuff like that. So I don't know if I'll ever do a Ouija board, man. I'm sorry. Even for 100K, I don't know if I'll be taking that risk, dudes. Sorry. Do you have Instagram? No, I should have one. Do you have any pets? I used to have a hamster, and died a long time ago. So not right now. Are you a fan of Stephen King? Yeah, I would probably do some Stephen King stuff if I were ever to read from a horror novel. Yeah. Uh, if you play video games, what games do you like? I don't really play video games, so yeah, that's a sad part. Maybe I can find a Stephen King and read it. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, yeah, turn the light on. One sec. Okay. I didn't find Stephen King, but I found this. It's the Little Giant Book of True Ghost Stories. I don't know which one of you had it as a kid. I'm gonna read something from it. I've always wanted to do this. Find a good story. Okay. Can you guys hear me still? Can you guys hear me still? If you were like, I have that book. Can you guys hear me? If you guys can, yep. Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, let's read this. It's a really, you're like, they love my mic. That's cool. Okay. Help from a Ghost. Donald Campbell was a famous Australian race driver. He was the son of another famed driver, Sir Malcolm Campbell. After his father's death, Donald went on to establish his own fame, but for a long time he missed the elder Campbell's advice and encouragement. In 1964, he was driving a racing car in Lake Erie, a dry salt lake in Australia. He was seeking a new world speed record. In one of the first of 2 mile runs, he had almost crashed. He still had the other run to go. The salt track was breaking up, and he knew that the second run would be even more difficult and dangerous than the first. His crew was changing the car's tires. Sitting in his cockpit, Donald wondered if this would be a disastrous run, if he were experiencing the last few minutes of his life. As a child of a world-famous race driver, Donald was very much aware of the extreme danger of the sport. Going through his mind at this time was an experience his father had had many years before while trying for a world speed record. A wheel had caught fire, and Sir Malcolm had narrowly escaped being killed. Donald had often wondered how his father had left in the face of imminent death. Now waiting for his second and final run, this memory was uppermost in his mind. One of the crew, Ken Norris, who was also one of the designers of the car, happened to look through the windshield, and he noticed that Campbell was staring upwards intently. The driver's face had been filled with tension. Norris had a powerful sense of his driver's fear, but then Campbell's expression relaxed. He appeared now to be calm. He then drove out and made a successful run. Later, Campbell told his friend, "It was the most incredible thing I've ever experienced. On the first run, I nearly killed myself. I knew the second run would be worse. I saw no hope at all. Suddenly, I looked up and saw my father just as clearly as I'm seeing you now. He was looking at me, smiling. Then he said, 'Well, boy, now you know how I felt that time in Utah when a wheel caught fire. But don't worry, it will be all right.' And he faded away. And indeed, it was all right." Yeah, I like that story. That's now you guys know why I like why I put the sad stories at the end. You know what I mean? Anyways, I will end it for today. It's been kind of a strange, true, scary story video, I guess, because nobody's coming in. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. And if you guys are watching afterwards, put in the comments what you guys would like me to do for my 100K special. Maybe do a draw my life, or you guys suggested that, or if you have other suggestions, please tell me in the comments. But anyways, guys, here is Horror Studio 1 with you once again with this live streams. And I guess I'll be seeing you guys this Sunday, okay? Bye.